Welcome inside the FedEx Forum. Paul Jones and Sherman Hamilton. We stand almost at midcourt, where tonight the Toronto Raptors will take on the Memphis Grizzlies, looking for their fourth consecutive win over a very, very tough Grizzlies team. Sherman, we talked about the Milwaukee game, how the style of play dictated a grinding, slow-down game. Well, they call this place the Grindhouse. It's going to be the same tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be physical. I mean, the front line we talk about the Memphis Grizzlies have, they present a lot of challenges from a skill perspective,
yes,
as well as that toughness perspective. But again, Tony Allen's going to be back in the lineup for this matchup. He wasn't in the last one in Toronto, and he's another physical, get-into kind of defender.
The grind father.
Absolutely, on the perimeter. So there's going to be some challenges there. I think Jeff Green, we talked a bit about him yesterday, the addition of his length and his ability to guard multiple positions as well as put pressure offensively on you from the perimeter. I just think that all the elements that Memphis plays with those are the elements it takes to win.
Yeah.
You slow it down, you play physical basketball, you can score in the half court, you have great interior presence, and then overall, I think the collective leadership they have on the floor allows them to be successful, especially when games get tight and maybe there's some decision-making that needs to happen. Right. They've got some guys who can lead the charge.
Sherm, talent aside, Dwayne Casey has to like playing in these kinds of games because of the pace of the game, because you know you're going to get a slow-down, kind of grinding, playoff-style game, because that's how you win. It's a good measuring stick to play that pace, and also against a team that plays that way. This Memphis team, number one, points in the paint. Number two, fewest second chance points allowed, and number two, fewest points off turnovers. So they don't turn it over, and they really do play that playoff style.
They do, and that's consistency, and that's what Lionel Hollins implemented when he was here. And they've just continued that flow, but you have to understand with this team that although they're so good in the front court, Mike Conley has made some great strides in the backcourt as their point guard. He presents a lot of challenges, and his quickness, his ability to break you down off the dribble and add a transition element to this style of basketball really can keep teams off balance. But you're right, they don't turn it over. They're going to score in the paint, they're going to pound you in the paint, and they're going to try and force you to play their style of basketball. That's going to be the challenge for the Raptors. If they throw different lineups out there, can they impose their will against the Memphis Grizzlies?
All right, so Jonas Valanciunas, the big men, obviously will be key. A lot of storylines to follow. Gravis Vasquez and Kyle Lowry playing against former team, but one that we should also follow is DeMar DeRozan coming off no points for the fifth time in his career, and Terrence Ross coming in again, it looks like, we can imagine, off the bench.
Yeah, and for Terrence Ross, it was a good sign to see him go out there and have a good offensive game, be engaged consistently throughout the time he was on the floor, and maybe starting got taken for granted at some point, and when you sit him on the bench and say, hey, guy, let's get out there, let's go, let's play, he kind of picked up his energy and his focus. And for DeMar, I really think it's one of those things, it's a back-to-back scenario. You know, you don't want to really push him at this point. You want to give him a chance to kind of ease back into what's happening, and he doesn't score. I don't worry about that. DeMar's going to find a way to score the basketball when they need him to. So I think it was good that he got some rest, and I think this is a game where he's going to get tested. You know, Tony Allen's probably going to be in his grill a lot, and that's going to be a challenge. And his teammates are going to have to help him in terms of getting open. Play calling is going to be a factor, and just allow DeMar to get some flow offensively. I just think that goose egg is such an aberration that it won't happen again.
Well, he'll have his work cut out for him facing an all-defensive player in Tony Allen. Folks, we had barbecue last night. The Stax Factory, where they made hit records not too far from here. And to quote one of Sherman Hamilton's favorite songs from Mavis Staples, I'll take you there. We'll take you here tonight at the Grindhouse, the Memphis Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors, 8 o'clock Eastern on Sportsnet 360, 8 o'clock Eastern also on TSN 1050. We get you going with the pregame show on both networks on the TV side at 7:30.